The middleware stack can greatly improve your application. They are basically a series of functions that your applications go through, and they get transformed, picking up changes and improvements on each of them. In a nutshell, it can run some code, make change to the request response, and it can either end the request response cycle or call the next middleware in the stack. Middleware's functions have access to the request and response objects, and they also have a next function that comes from the router, which is used to pass your application into the next function in the stack, in the middleware stack. It helps you decouple code and also organize it, making it more readable and easier to debug. To better understand how it works, let's build a simple middleware so we can grasp all the moving parts. And then we can go on and create more complex middlewares. We're going to create a simple middleware that will log the request method and the URL back to us. So inside our middleware, let's export a function called logger. You can name whatever you like. Here we do a request, response, and next. I haven't seen this on yet, but there we go, next. Here we just need to console log, and inside I will use a backtick because we're gonna use string interpolation. And let's say incoming request.method with status. Here's we're gonna pass some status as well. Response.status code. And let's add the URL that was requested. Next, we just need to call the next function, and this will move on. So what now then? I'll just use this logger inside our application. As you can see in here, we have a few middlewares that we are using from body parser. We just need to add this logger. So we do app.use and you pass the logger. Let's import. From the middlewares. So if you run our application, everything works well. If you check out the localhost homepage, incoming, get request with the status 200 to the root. If you go anywhere, like users, let's change the URL and still 200. We are passing our function, our app, inside this function, which is gonna check the request, the response, get these informations, and send it back to the next one, which will be the router. So if you add more, your application is gonna pass through all of these functions until you get to the end. But most of the time, because Express has a large ecosystem, someone already created a middleware for your use case. Whatever you can think, there might be a middleware out there to help you out. In this case, let's check out the Express website. On resources, middleware. Here you have a list of middleware's modules that Express recommends. And if you take a look at these main ones over here, you have one called Morgan, which is the HTTP logger. Let's install and check it out. Here it's gonna do something similar what we did with our logger over here. Got the method, status codes, and request to URL. Here's gonna pass all that stuff, plus a response time as well. So let's install it and check it out. I'm gonna open up a new terminal over here. npm install Morgan. And inside our app, just below body parser, I'm gonna call it logger. You can call it whatever you like in here. Morgan. I'm gonna comment it out our middleware, and here I'm just going to use app.use logger, and here I'm going to pass dev. So the dev you have here, you have tiny, you have combined predefined formats over here. So let's use the dev and try it out. I'm gonna close my terminal. I'm gonna shut out the server and run it again. Now if I go on my page and I reload, I get this information over here. Because the GET request to this URL is a 404, and this is how long it took to run it. If I run it again, because it was cached, it's less. So if I do users, it's a 304. 304 is a got request, but it was cached, so nothing changed. It returned the same. And it took 12 seconds, 12 milliseconds. So that's basically what it does. So I'm going to delete this one, the one we created, and just use the Morgan for now. Here I'm gonna comment it out, just so you can have that information for your future reference. But here's another thing. We are using the logger over here, but in case we want to keep this one and only run inside our development environment, so we're gonna make an if statement, and you're gonna make sure that the app is running on the development. You're gonna get the environment with app.get. And here, if that is equal to development, then we use the logger. If you're in production, this will not run. So it's better like this.